our community. Chairman, if you would join us, please. I would also like, before we start, to also invite Ambassador of Rwanda to the Czech Republic. His Excellency, Mr. Archbishop Okolo, Dean, if you would also join us, please. I have also the pleasure of calling Honorable Jan Bartoszek, Deputy Speaker on the Chamber of Deputies of the Parliament of the Czech Republic. Thank you, sir. And our chief guest, Honorable Jerry Kozak, Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Czech Republic. I'd like to kindly invite our excellencies and guests to also stand up as we will light the candle. We'll begin with the lighting of the candle. I'll invite also the members and the guests to also light a candle, and I'll take this moment to experience a moment of silence. Thank you.
Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to welcome you to the Chamber of Deputies, where we gather today to commemorate on the 31st anniversary of the tragic events that shook Rwanda in 1994. The genocide, in which thousands of people lost their lives just in 100 days, was not only tragedy for Rwanda nation, but also warning for humanity as a whole. It serves as a stark reminder of where hatred and division can lead. On this day, let us decide ourselves to remembering the victims of the tragedy, the men, women, and children who lose their lives simply because their identity. It's our moral duty to ensure that their stories are not forgotten. Their fate should make us think about how we contribute to preventing such events from happening again. The past shapes our present, but it can be only a factor that identifies our future. Rwanda today stands as an inspiring example how even the darkest days can be overcome. This African nation has not only rebuilt and recovered, but also taken steps toward reconciliation and unity. It's an example to honor the past while looking forward. Today's commemoration should inspire us to action. We honor the memory of those who lost their lives, creating a society where hatred, intolerance, and divisions have no place. Responsibility for the future lies with all of us, as individuals, as citizens, and as part of global community. Ladies and gentlemen, I am honored that this commemoration can take place in our chamber of the third consecutive year. The Parliament is the place where mutual dialogue and understanding should overcome divisions and where people from various ways of life meet and try to transform the world for the better. To transform tragedies into stories of renewal, progress, and hope. That is how we truly honor the memory of the victims. Thank you for your attention.
To a few words from Honorable Antonio Guterres, but I would like to also remind that on the 20th of April 2020, the United Nations General Assembly adopted a resolution designating the 7th of April as the International Day of Reflection on the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi in Rwanda. We will now take a moment to watch a statement delivered by the UN Secretary General during Freebuka 31 at the United Nations headquarters. Thank you.
We come together in sorrow to mourn the victims of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi in Rwanda, to stand with their families and with survivors, to reflect on how these appalling crimes became possible, and to recommit to do everything in our power to prevent these from ever happening again. The 1994 genocide against the Tutsi is a chilling chapter in human history. And it occurred at terrifying speed. In just 100 days, some 1 million children, women and men were killed, overwhelming majority Tutsi, but also Hutu and others who opposed the genocide. This was not a spontaneous frenzy of horrendous violence. It was intentional. It was premeditated. It was planned.
The Chief Guest, Government of the Czech Republic, Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs, Excellency Jiří Kozák, the Deputy Speaker, Chamber of Deputies, Honorable Jan Bartosek, Excellency the Dean of the Diplomatic Corps, Archbishop Jude Thaddeus Okolo, Excellencies Ambassadors, members of the Diplomatic Corps, Friends of Rwanda, members of the Rwandan community in Czechia, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to take this opportunity to thank each one of you for taking time off from your busy schedules to come and be with us as we commemorate 31 years of the genocide against the Tutsi in Rwanda. Your presence here today marks and makes a very strong statement, and in so doing you declare once again to the rest of the world that you stand with Rwanda and the victims and families of the 94 genocide against the Tutsi in 1994. Last year, in this same room, you showed similar solidarity, and we are very truly appreciative. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, friends, as we stand in remembrance of those who were murdered brutally in one of the darkest times of modern human history, it gives us an opportunity not just to mourn, but to remember, to reflect, and renew our resolve. Every year, as you may know, starting from the 7th of April, a week is set aside to remember the genocide against the Tutsi in Rwanda in 1994. The genocide against the Tutsi was from April to July 1994 and was the culmination of decades-long ethnic-based hate and an ideology of division, instigated, taught, and spread since the colonial period in Rwanda. It was stopped in July 1994 by the Rwandan Patriotic Front. The remembrance period is referred to as Kwibuka in Kinyarwanda and essentially means to remember. The UN designated 7th April as the UN International Day of Reflection on the Genocide against the Tutsi in Rwanda. Over the years, the UN Secretary General, like he has just done a short while ago, in different messages has emphasized that it is important we never forget the victims of the genocide. He has also said that it is important not to forget the bravery and resilience of those who survived, whose courage and willingness to forgive remain a burst of light and hope amidst this very dark chapter of human history. Excellencies and friends, it is our duty to remember, and this period provides always an opportunity to look at the events, learn from them, and prevent them from happening not only in Rwanda again, but anywhere else in the world. Commemoration of the genocide is a global framework to remember those who perished, honor them, give meaning to their deaths, comfort survivors, and pay tributes to Rwandans who stopped the genocide and liberated the country. It is also a time to ensure that atrocities like this and recommit to never occur again. Memory defines us as Rwandans and helps us keep focused on the goal of national unity, reconciliation, peaceful coexistence, and to declare collectively never again. It also provides us and the global community an opportunity to stand together and draw lessons from this very tragic history of Rwanda, with the goal of fighting genocide ideology, hate speech, and preventing future genocides around the world. For the young, the youth, remembering is even more important because they need to be particularly aware and constantly reminded of the consequences of ideologies that are negative, and in so doing, this helps them develop a clear moral perspective for a better tomorrow. Over the years, our President, His Excellency President Paul Kagame, has reminded the youth that they are privileged to have a country to call home, which embraces everyone, unlike the past, without discrimination. The leadership in Rwanda encourages the young Rwandans to learn about our past, so that when they eventually take leadership in the future, they will do so with clarity, a sense of responsibility and accountability. They will then not be easily manipulated into division and exclusion politics. Excellencies, friends, we have made some major achievements and there are some clear milestones in rebuilding the country, our country, Rwanda, which include unity, reconciliation, justice to survivors, security, good governance. In spite of this, the memory of '94 genocide against the Tutsi remains present through increased manifestations today, unfortunately, of denial and distortion in some parts of the world regarding the planning and execution of the genocide against the Tutsi, which cost more than 1 million lives. In the face of the resurgence of denial and revisionism, remembering is even more important today than it has ever been before. Denial, excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, is that phenomenon where killers, planners distort facts, deflect attention, and sometimes even rebrand themselves as heroes. It's an effort to nullify and downplay the role of perpetrators. Denial is a documented and well-known phase of genocide. It denounces victims and rehabilitates perpetrators. As the SG of the UN noted a short while ago in his message on the 7th, social media is regrettably a very strong weapon being used by denialists. Denial is a dangerous and deliberate attempt to block truth. Known perpetrators have even gone to the extent of making political capital from the 94 genocide against the Tutsi. The government of Rwanda will continue to fight this phenomenon of denial. Excellencies and friends, the genocide against Tutsi did not come out of the blue. The Holocaust didn't begin with gas chambers, but with words. Words with apathy and erosion of people's dignity. In Rwanda, similarly, it was a long history of discrimination, deliberate denial of rights of a section of the Rwandan society. This dehumanization and demonization of a particular group was done in order to provide justification for the elimination of Tutsis. The government of the time then went ahead to organize and persuade a large section of Rwandans to commit and carry out killings of their neighbors, resulting in the 1 million killed in 100 days. The speed confirms that the atrocities were planned. These were people with whom they had lived for decades, sharing language and culture. Even as we remember those who lost their lives, it is important we pay tribute to heroes who resisted, risking their lives to help or save those being targeted. Such people are a clear reminder to all of us of our duty never to remain indifferent or silent. For the survivors and witnesses, they are stories of hope, courage, and perseverance. We salute and stand with them, for they have demonstrated and continue to demonstrate unmatched resilience. Genocide left a legacy of distrust, wounded hearts, and yet for the people of Rwanda, life had to go on and people had to live together. Friends, at that time, a governable state was unimaginable, given the scale of the genocide and the extent of its consequences. Rwanda has taken some strong steps, including promoting unity and reconciliation, abolishing discriminatory policies, a new constitution, and laws that punish discrimination. In Rwanda, we are taking a deliberate decision to educate our people, to confront hate, and build a future where never again is a reality. Our rebirth as a country is credited to the fact that the larger part of our people, of Rwandans, irrespective of ethnicity, want to build a better nation and overcome manipulation. It is important that we come together for the sake of generations to come. Let us fight genocide ideology, prejudice, and discrimination in all its forms. We appeal to member countries of the UN to enact legislation to arrest and bring to justice the fugitives. We urge countries around the world to cooperate more effectively in the prosecution of these fugitives or transfer them to Rwanda. Lack of cooperation sends a wrong message and is a threat to peace and security. Rwanda currently, despite all these great strides, continues to face challenges. The genocide ideology is still spreading. Closer to home, unfortunately, despite several UN resolutions to disarm and repatriate remnants who fled to the east of the DRC, the threat persists. They have regrouped and are targeting ethnic Tutsi and Banyamulenge in the DRC. What is happening is really a continuation of the failure of 30 years ago. We are hoping that recent efforts by the East African community and the SADC to address this challenge in Eastern Congo will address it, and Rwanda is committed to play a constructive role. Finally, once again, we thank each one of you who has come to lend your support and show solidarity. When the world vows never again, it is a vow that cannot be achieved by one nation alone. It is a call to international solidarity. Where genocide has happened, it is because many times the world has turned the other way. Your presence today demonstrates a unified message. Let's join hands to educate our youth about the need for unity, the imperative to build systems that protect the vulnerable all over the world. Once again, we wish to express that the government and people of Rwanda were particularly grateful to His Excellency President Peter Pavel, who last year on an official visit to Rwanda in April 2024 attended the 30th commemoration and honored the victims of the genocide against the Tutsi. Also present was Excellency Ambassador Karel Kovanda, who in 1994 at the UN had the courage to call the genocide by its rightful name when many people were hesitant. Rwanda, under the leadership of His Excellency President Paul Kagame, will fight a genocide ideology, and the government of Rwanda will continue to strive for a country where everyone is valued. As we leave this afternoon, this room, we should continue to say never again, be determined to be vigilant against those who espouse this ideology. Let us remember that at times like this, that we are all equal and deserve fundamental dignity. Only then can we build a more tolerant world that is safe and secure. I thank you all, and may God bless you. And later on, I hope the MC will not forget, on your way, there is a small exhibition with a few pictures which gives a visual of what actually took place in '94. At the back, on your way out, it's just a 2-minute walk, you'll be able to get us some perspective. And of course, we will have a witness, a survivor of the genocide who is traveled here to give a very brief testimony of what actually happened, so that we can get a visual of exactly what happened. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Dear Deputy Speaker Bartoszek, dear Ambassador Masazera, Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, it is my great pleasure to be here today with you to commemorate the victims of the genocide that happened 31 years ago. Rwanda experienced one of the most tragic periods of modern history. Millions of people lost their lives, and many thousands lost their homes. The international community thought that it would never allow similar atrocities, but we have to admit that in 1994 we have failed. Mr. Ambassador, you already mentioned it, and I will say it again because I think this shows how Czechia is committed. I would like to remind us that it was Ambassador Karel Kovanda who was the first to name out loud the atrocities in Rwanda, a genocide, during the session of the United Nations. You have also mentioned, Mr. Ambassador, the visit of our President Petr Pavel to Rwanda last year. He personally attended the commemoration of the genocide in Kigali, and Mr. Kovanda was with him to be there to honor the victims. Despite the consequences of 1994 events, Rwanda has managed to find its way to stability and impressive prosperity and progress. We must appreciate how Rwandan society was able to cope with the profound destruction effects of the genocide and achieved a great deal of reconciliation through its unique village courts, where perpetrators could confess to their actions and obtain at least partial forgiveness from the families of the victims and restore the relations, at least to the extent possible. It was able to rebuild a society in which people who once killed each other and have to live side by side are now able to prevent violence happening again. Rwanda has come an admirable distant journey of reconciliation. For somebody who spent 10 years studying reconciliation, democratic transition, traveling around the world and seeing many democratic transitions, I really have to appreciate what has been done in Rwanda. How you understand that reconciliation is the key element of stability and of unity, which is one of the words that you have in your statement for this year. Secretary General Guterres, in his speech, mentioned the role of misinformation and propaganda in events that spread hate, in events that kill people. We have to face misinformation every day, even now, and we have to fight it together. And events like 1994 genocide in Rwanda should be the key lessons for us. Sometimes it seems that we are not learning enough, but events like this are reminding us of what's going on and how we should do better. And I speak on behalf of a country which also has learned its lessons during the Nazi and then during the longer period of communist totalitarian regime, where people also died because they were different. I would like to conclude by emphasizing that thanks to the historical role of Ambassador Kovanda, Czechia will always have a specific bond with Rwanda, and that we will consider it one of our foreign policy priorities to support our collective commitment that genocide never occurs again. Never again. Thank you.
Ndakwibaza ngo niki tutakoze twagombaga gukora, ni hehe twasibye gutabaza, ni hehe twibagiwe kuvuza induru, ni hehe twanze gukiriza indirimbo mbi yari iteye.
Ibi by'amoko ngo abahutu abatutsi ntabyabagaho, ariko aya magambo yavuga avuga urwego abantu bagiye bagera muri sosiyete. Ababiligi baje batangiye kwigisha amacakubiri bavuga bati abatutsi baturuka bavuga i Burayi na Mesopotamia, nyuma baza kuvuga muri za Egiputi, ngo baza barategeka bagakoloniya. Abahutu bakavuga ngo baturuka muri za Chad, baza abatwa bo ngo bari basanzwe muri ayo mashyamba. Urumva rero ko binjijemo akantu k'inkoza ko kujyamo amacakubiri.
U Rwanda ni igihugu kimwe kirimo bibiri. Abatuye ibi bihugu ntacyo bahuriyeho, ntibahuje imico. Ababituye bameze nk'abava ahantu hatandukanye cyangwa abaturage b'imigabane itandukanye.
Burya jenoside ntabwo ari iyi ngiyi, nuko ariyo yemewe na Nations Unies na Loni n'ubundi, no muri za 1959 habaye za jenoside. None uzi niba baraza bakica abantu, bakica abatutsi, bakica abana, bakica abagore, kandi ntacyo babahora. Kwica umuntu ntacyo yagutwaye, kandi kukica ubwoko bumwe urumva ko babaga gukora jenoside.
Tutsi, si, je suis une ariste, si. Et maintenant, est-ce que vous avez peur? Pourquoi? La population, du jugement, peur d'être tué. Si c'est la mode, je dois mourir.
Barapfuye benshi igihe cyose mu 1963 muri 1973 bakurikira bapfa n'abandi bakumva n'abasigaye babirukira mu gihugu, byaba mu mashuri, byaba mu bucuruzi, byaba mu butegetsi, nta gihe abatutsi bigeze bagira amahoro. Amateka mujya mwumva ko mu by'Imana ariho inyuma twakurikiye ari inka, ni nanjye byitiriwe. Yaragiye ajya mu biteka bwayo, ahageze abantu bose baza kumureba, barimo na Musenyeri yaranze, hanyuma bamuza ati sawa ndabizi. Yigeze ampamagara antoteza yuko ntoteza Kiliziya Gatolika kubera yuko nari umwana. Icyo cyatumye mvunga kare, nijye mpuzi ya mbere mu Rwanda.
Nyuma y'uko u Rwanda ruhawe ubwigenge, ntabwo byagaruye amahoro, na kamarampaka bavuze ntabwo yagaruye amahoro, ahubwo habayeho gushyiraho uburyo bwo gucunga abantu aho baherereye. Ntabwo umuntu ashobora kuva muri komine ngo ajye mu yindi uko ashaka, kuzava muri perefegiture ngo ujye mu yindi byo byasaga nko gusaba viza yo kujya mu Burayi buri munsi. Kuzayidenga perefegiture imwe, ebyiri, eshatu byabaga ari ikindi kibazo.
Muri 1964 ababurugumesitiri, abakonseye bagira baratya hanana umuntu ku Gikongoro ahitwa mu Bufundu, bagatanga abaturage babo b'abatutsi ati mugende mu wasenyeri, mu birukane, muteye amahane, mu mwice, mubarire inka, mugira mute, hanyuma tuziburanira.
Navutse muri 1964, mvukiye i Burundi, yitwa Ibuye, kubera ko ababyeyi banjye bari barahunze muri 1963. Ubundi ababyeyi banjye baturuka mu cyahoze ari Ubufundu kera, ubundi muri komine muri Nyamagabe district.
Ibitanze petit seminaire yaho nahejeje kuva muri 70 kugeza muri 73, ariko navuyemo ndahunga, haje yirukana abanyeshuri b'abatutsi mu mashuri n'abarimu.
Hari benshi bagiye bavanwa mu Hutu duce bavukiyemo bakoherezwa kure y'iwabo. Icyo gihe kuva ku Kibuye ukajya gutura Ibyumba byari nko gucira amahanga.
Ngiye muri Uganda ari abantu gutuza ahantu hitwa Kizingari abandi ba frontiere twamara n'umwaka ariko uko mu mategeko international bagomba kwigizayo abantu nibura kilometero 150 twe baradutwara ababyeyi bacu bimukira bagenda Kibara igihe ababyeyi banjye barazireba havuye turukira Shungerezi twavuye tujya Bunyoro twavuye tujya Toro twatashye ababyeyi banjye bari Toro nuko bazirira ahantu henshi
impunzi burya kugira ngo yicare hamwe bifata umwanya i Burundi mu by'ukuri nahabaye igihe gito ndakomeza njya kwiga muri Kongo
ababaza ibintu byinshi ariko nta kibabaza nko kuba impunzi ukatagira igihugu.
Ubuhunzi buragora, ntabwo wemerwa nk'umunyagihugu nubwo waba umaze imyaka ingahe bakwitirira igihugu cyawe nubwo icyo gihugu wanarwa twahakanaga, ariko aho twabaga turi baravuga ati n'ubu muri Abanyarwanda.
Iyo bagiraga bakabona mwuzuye babatwaraga mu rindi shyamba kujya gutema ishyamba ryamera neza bakabakuraho abaturage bakahatura mukajya gutema irindi, niko batwaraga impunzi hirya no hino.
Ibibazo byaje gukomera intambara ya Museveni icyo gihe igeze muri utwo duce tw'iwacu, niho batangiye gushakisha icyitwa umunyarwanda wese ndetse n'abantu barahunga bagiye basanga inyeshyamba ibyo muri za 1984 na 5.
Abayusi bo kwa Bote bagendaga bica Abanyarwanda rero burya baje bahunga, hanyuma u Rwanda rugeze ruhagarika imipaka abantu bazi. Abayusi bari hariya harimo bamwe bagiye biyahuye twabonaga u Rwanda babuza kuza, inyuma hari abashaka kugenda babica.
Nageze aho mbona akazi muri Loni ukora ahantu hitwa Gatobo mu gihe gitoya, ariko ntabwo byageze no ku mwaka, naho baratwirukana baradufata baradufunga muri Burere nyine, nibwo twafunzwe hafi y'umwaka.
Nyogokuru bari basenyewe ajya muri Kongo, abana be yagarutse wenyine ari kumwe na murumuna we bamukubita i Nyamata. Par exemple twebwe bari dufite uruhushya rwo kunyogora cyo nta muntu babwira i Nyamata n'ubwo bamugesera yari trauma tutagomba gukora. Bamuzana hari Ibyumba, nta muntu yari ahazi, yari umugore wagiraga angoisse.
Ubuhunzi twese twari kimwe, ntawagize twakusanya ngo ahungane, nyako waba ufite n'udufaranga ntabwo wabona kudukuraho twari tubise, wabona kugurisha inka niyo wari uyifite.
Abantu bigeze muri 1964 numvaga bazataha, cyane bwa mbere abanyarwanda numvaga bazakirwa na Loni, bageze aho batangira kujya bavuga ko bazakirwa n'inyenzi n'umwami, ariko bigeze muri 1967 naho inyenzi zitsindiwe neza n'Abanyarwanda. Icyo gihe byatangiye kuvuga ko ndetse basigaye bavuga ati nta runari nta Loni, byose ni akavumburamashyiga. Mu Kinyarwanda baravuga ko nta runari yagomba kubacyura, nta Loni nayo yagomba kubacyura, ni akavumburamashyiga. Nibyo babeshya abana.
Mbere y'uko inkotanyi zibaho zikaba zitugezaho ko ziteye n'icyo zishaka ndetse intambara itararota, umuntu wumvaga nta kizashobora gutaha bitari ndibuka rwose nari naratangiye kubaka Brazzaville.
Umuntu wahunze aba yagiye gusa umubiri we uvuye mu gihugu kimwe ugiye mu kindi, ariko umutima we wasigaye mu gihugu yavuyemo. Utamuhaye uburenganzira bwe rero, amaherezo arabushakisha. Politike yo gutandukanya gushingira ku politike ishingira ku bitandukanya abantu bitigeze byoroha.
I greet you all. It's an honor to be here to share my story during the genocide in 1994, Tutsi genocide in Rwanda. My name is Joseph Tera Akayezu. I'm Rwandan. I'm a mother and I'm a genocide survivor. Before I share my story of darkness and soul in 100 days in 1994, April, allow me to share briefly my life before genocide. For interest of time, I will just give you a summary of the summary. I can't go into details, what we have experienced during the 100 days. Before genocide, I was a young girl, and in 1994 I was 19 years old. I was old enough to see and to remember what happened. But I didn't know too much about politics. Hatred, I experienced it, but I didn't know a lot. My father was a primary school teacher. My mother was a primary school teacher, just in my village. We lived not far from Kigali, the capital city. To give you a brief, to explain how I survived. I lived in a hill just opposite at airport, Kigali International Airport. And if I would say, it was like, you can see at airport during the genocide when the president airplane shoot. We just heard that it was like a bomb. We didn't know what happened. Before I go into 1994, let me go back to 1990. I was living in my house with my family, my extended family around us. My dad's brothers and sisters were around us in the village in Rwanda, in Africa mostly. We live together. Your dad living here, your brothers and the grandparents live here, to the other side. Basically, all my family from my dad's side were together, nearby, same village. And we grew up like that with hundreds of cousins and aunties, uncles in my house. We were like, I had 7 siblings and many cousins at home. As my father and my mother were educated, they have the means. We are like a middle family if we compare to Europe. And my father was a farmer. We had many cows, big land. And he was known at the village and tried to help people. And my mother was a very Christian. We lived nearby the church. Back in that, I didn't know something can happen to them because they were good people. Then I was in that comfort zone, happy child, discriminated in the school, but don't bother me, and continue living like in a happy family, you could imagine. And in 1990, when the war started, I was moved from home 1 month before. It was September when school started. I got a chance to go to high school, the government high school. My father used to sell cows to give someone who knows someone to get what he wanted. And as he was like a family chief from his family, from brothers and sisters from us, he was just a good man, a strong man, and a powerful man. He used to sell stuff, to work hard to get the means, to live like a stranger in his country. In that case, we could go to school. My siblings went to school. Others went to study abroad because they couldn't get a chance to go to school in the country. But for me, it was a chance. I got a school, the government school, the boarding school. My dark days started at that time, 1990. Then I moved from home, happy family, protected family, moved to that boarding school far away from my house. It was in South Province. It was East Province now. And you have seen it in the documentary, the name called the Bugesera. It has a history, if you're interested in Rwandan history. It's an area where many Tutsis lived because of the war in 1959, 63, 62, 73. There were many Tutsis in that area from different parts of the country who went to live there. It was a forest before, but they sent them there to die, actually. Then my school was there. In 92, moving quickly, I was in second high school, and there I was no longer Jose Butera, I was someone else. I was an enemy, a snake, a cockroach. They started cursing us, bullying us at the age of 15. And we started being like slaves at school. They said, the RPF Motani, your brothers are fighting for this government. You have to die one day. We can't afford to live with you. We will kill you one day. Then we became like slaves to get a chance to go to the restaurant with them. We had just to do their homeworks. Some were very bad, because the school was class 1 to class 6. Which means from age 15 to age 18, 19, 20. As a 15-year-old lady, innocent from a happy family, I can meet like a guy of 19 years old telling me, carry my plate, do my homework. I can't even do the homework. So in class 6, when I was in class 1, then torture went on. I was just to give you a picture of what happened before genocide. That was 1992, 93. Then 93 came. They killed Tutsis in that region I was studying. The communication was not easy. To tell back home what I'm experiencing was hard. You have to send a letter, no internet, no telephone, nothing. Then you have to send a letter, then the letters took forever to get home. I remember writing a letter to my dad, like 10 pages, describing what I'm going through. Then my dad, right away, he came to pick me when he saw the letter. He had no idea, because he thought we are protected in the college, and I write one day, when I was writing that letter, there is a trigger. I went to the library, to the laboratory. I was studying the biology and chemistry. We had a laboratory. Then the laboratory, we had like experiment. We had like a chemical product to make like a swab, oil, and they said they're gonna pour me the acids on me. Then I scared, they ran away. Then the teacher told the director, those guys are killing the Tutsis. They are just, something will happen. If they are touched that acid, it will blow the whole college. And they heard that. I said, oh, this is too bad. Then I wrote that letter that night. Then when my dad saw it, he got scared. He took my old brother was just, he was walking in town, no more life, discriminated all the time. He was in jail. If you remember what happened in 1990, they picked Tutsis in town saying that you are Indians, you have an arm, you have weapons at home. They took them to the jail. When my father got a letter, I was complaining a lot. He said, my daughter is gonna die, my son, the firstborn, is in jail. This is not life. He came running to pick me. It was not easy, but he picked me. He looked for another school. That's my story before genocide. Then I went to another school in the east. Then it was 1994, in January, basically. Then 1994 came. It was a Easter holiday. We were in holidays, which was not easy to get home from school. To get home was too much chaos. We had like roadblocks all over the country, if you know the history of Rwanda. Moving from part to part, we just get out from the bus. They say they are skinny, they can see you. You have an aspect, physical aspect of Tutsi because they pull you down to the side. You can spend like hours begging for mercy, begging for showing the high school cards, saying I'm a child, I'm going home, I'm from there. You explain a lot of things for the grown-up people, for military, for police. It was not police that time, it was a gendarme. They just beat us at age, very young age. Anyone, they just discriminate us as they wish, nobody to ask, nobody to cry for. Then we lived like that. Then when April came, I was home, by chance I get home, then with my young sister, we had other sisters and one brother, they lived married, lived in town, and me and my young sister was home at that time. That's April 6th. Then, as I said, we lived in a hill opposite to the airport. Then we had the tremendous big, like a bomb. We didn't know what happened. We did not see, just an airplane. And it was night, eating dinner and then talking with my mom and my young sister. We have been away like 3 months without seeing each other. We talked for everything, nothing, just laughing, happy. Then we had that bomb, and Papa went out to see. It was dark, of course, and he was scared. Suddenly, he said, "Don't worry, Papa. The country's in the war. Why are you worried?" He said, "No, this is not a bomb. This is not a machine gun. This is not a normal thing. It's a big thing." I don't know. He took the radio, that small radio in the village. Just turning around, there's nothing. He's just, even we had like German antennas, the radio Deutschwelle. It was in German, and he had a president, Rwanda president, Burundi president. He said, maybe president, maybe. Trying to figure out, we didn't know the president is outside, we didn't know. But he was very terrified and worried, and he got to the antenna of RFI, how do you call it? RFI Radio, Radio France Internationale. Then they said a lot of us speak French, we could understand it clearly. The president of Rwanda and the president of Burundi, they had been shot. The airplane had been shooting, landing to pick up. Then he said, "Oh, that's what we had. The president died and we are dying now. Just pack your stuff, we are dying." He said, "No, nothing, Papa." Mama said, no, let us pray, nothing will not happen. But Papa was terrified, the strongest man I knew then. He was completely changed immediately. The death was around. Then he started telling us the story, how he survived. 59, 62, 63, the place he lived in, he brought the hidden pictures. He couldn't tell us what happened before he was protecting us, maybe. We didn't know too much how he built a house in the north of Rwanda long time ago in 65, I think. In 73, they burned the house, they chased there. How our grandparents died, because he had the mom only. The dad was died when that was old. He showed us the letters from the run and all the parts, and we were just surrounded the whole morning. They came like early in the morning, and when someone lay down and tried to wake up, you had the grenades coming to you. And the people were shouting. Imagine 7,000 people in the rooms for old people. We tried to put injured people in the big conference room. The pregnant women and the small kids. It was the big cinema room, and it was chaos. 8 o'clock in the morning, and me and my sister, young sister, the last one in my family, we ran from the kitchen. We jumped to the store, and the other women came from the kitchen to the store. That store saved me. That's why I'm here now today. They killed everybody, sorry. They throw the grenades, machetes, and they had like a baseball bats, some stuff. They were trained very well to kill. We went in that store, then hiding. At the end, the whole day, they killed the people the whole day. They said, Mass, help us, we can give you whatever you want. And the kids screaming, but it couldn't help. They killed everybody the whole day. I'm sorry, we have to tell someone, the survivor who wrote a book, saying, left to tell, that's why we are telling the story. We can't do anything else, but you can see their names, you can tell them what happened. Yeah. It was that day, 10th April, Sunday, 1994. We killed our moms, grandmothers, kids, everybody. Today we are counting 7,000 people. When you count the heads.
Testimony. We just want to thank all of you for your solidarity to be with us today and commemorate 31 years since the genocide against the Tutsi. It's just a reminder that when we leave here and say never again, let us commit to never again and know that, as Jose said, let the good in us overcome the evil. Rwanda is what it is today because a deliberate decision has been taken that in spite of our history, we should not be divided. We should all value each one of us. We should value one another. And we thank Ambassador Kovanda in '94, who stood up and said the events as they were. Sometimes I like the French saying, the French say la politique de l'autruche. It is the politics of the ostrich. You put your head in the sand and hope that by not seeing what's going on, it will go away. We can only address issues by facing them as they are. We thank you for coming, we thank you for your solidarity, and let us know that courage will always and good will always overcome evil.